Transition, the process of change from one condition to another.
We are now at a new crossroad where change is evident once again.
What does not serve us must transform us anew.
Returning to our original state of oneness and true nature of that which created who we truly are.
Confusion was the way of the past. Enlightenment is the way of the now and future, shedding away the layers of deceit.
We now bring you the transformation of the two who started as one. Our fearless planet never stands still.
Earth has been in a process of transition, and we are not exempt from this remarkable ongoing reality.
Welcome to Transition Radio.
Hello, and welcome to Real Talk with the Cummings. My name is Mark Angelo.
And I'm Lena Ariel. Thank you guys for joining us on this Monday evening.
Yes, Monday. And boy, since that eclipse last night, there's a lot of stirring and anger.
Oh my gosh, people just mad.
You know, I think people need to all stop drinking the water. I think the water has a whole bunch of chemicals and hormones and things in there that are just making people go loopy.
I know, right? It's like,
yeah, and then it's really funny,
unbelievable
because certain people see things a certain way. Same incident, the people are seeing it in two different manner. And what we're speaking about here, folks, let me kind of like pull this up here so that I get a bit of what happened in
Washington, D.C. at the Lincoln Memorial.
Yeah, and funny enough, the same place where Martin Luther King did a speech, right?
Yeah.
And today's Martin Luther King's birthday, right? What I see here is strings being pulled. They're playing people like a violin.
They are. It's like they want to just get people all riled up.
And they're doing a great job. They really are doing a great job. And here, I want to go ahead and share this picture. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. Here we have this confrontational young man, and a lot of people are like, oh, but, you know, the young men are being threatened now. And let me get this straight. Violence is not okay.
Never
okay.
Never okay.
But people are missing the point of what took place.
They are.
A group of Black Israelites that were being
very
vocal,
very
vocal to say the least. And I've placed the links to 2 different videos, so you guys could be the judge of that. And, you know, you got people that are toting around their religious belief, and that's what this group was doing.
Exactly.
And what we saw from the video, one of the videos and one of the news reports, was that the Native American, they're not Indian, they're Native American. I can't stand when, you know, improper. I mean, Indians are from India.
India, the country.
Yes. So
they like curry.
Yeah. Which is awesome, because I lived in Tootenbeck in England, and there was like Tootenbeck was all filled with.
It's a big country.
Yeah, it is.
It's a big continent, actually.
The man wasn't Indian. He was Native American. You know, the ones that were here before we came over and, you know, did what we did. But anyway, it's just this cluster of anger, of racism. And now they even got attorneys, because, you know, hey, we got to get attorneys in because they got to get a cut of the action, because these kids have been threatened and all sorts of Twitter things. And, you know, and they're trying to make these kids be so innocent. Now, you saw the picture I showed you. That boy was like in the face, disrespecting an elder. Whatever creed, race that person was, that child, that kid, that teenager, like most teenagers this day and age, that have no respect for anyone. I mean, they just don't.
They don't. It's like they don't have the sense of just respect. And I noticed that with my own children as I was raising them, that they just weren't brought up with that filter. I don't know. It's like they came out of the womb without knowing how to respect their elders.
They don't. They have no clue.
Quite understand.
So on this article, it says Sunday, Phillips clarified that it was he who had approached the crowd and that he had intervened because racial tensions, primarily between the white students and the black men, were coming to a boiling point. So the Native Americans stepped in there, started to do some prayers. And again, you guys could watch the video. I linked it in the description box. And, stepped in to pray.
To bring peace to a situation that was escalating because the kids with the Catholic school and the people that were the black Israelites, they were like throwing rude things at each other, right?
And then it was all about pro-choice. It was like something
pro-choice rally,
right? And then you had the Trump supporters wearing the little red hat. And I mean, tensions were all over the place. I don't know who's right or who's wrong. I'm not going to be the judge of that. All I'm seeing is human beings fighting with other human beings, being puppeted by the elite, because the elite love this. They're salivating right now. They love when people fight and when they're divide and conquer. Now, I wanted to share what the mother of this teen, who is like, she's claiming to be all stressed out in the worst 36 hours that she's had and blah, 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 right? Well, mother's name is Julie Sandman. This is a post that she put. I don't know if this is Twitter or if this is Facebook. It looks like Facebook, right? She writes, "Proud mother of Nick Sandman of Cummington Catholic, not here to apologize or grovel, God forbid. Kid behaves badly and
of course not.
No." And go ahead and continue reading here. It says,
"After what I've been through the past 36 hours, and get this, I only wish the pioneers had brought more blankets with smallpox." There, I said it. Crucify me.
Okay, so now we wonder why the apple does not fall far from the tree.
Unbelievable to hear that.
I know. I mean, talk about the hatred. And this was a Catholic woman.
I know.
Religious people. The black Israelite was screaming all sorts of like, "you sodomites," and this, that, and hateful comments throughout. I mean, if you watch the video, that's all you're going to see. The only person there that was trying to bring some peace was the Native American indigenous person.
We have a Native in our chat room, and her name's Amanda Reno.
Hello, Amanda.
And she said, when we beat our drum, it is to put positive energy.
Exactly. So the only person that I saw there bringing peace and harmony was the Native American. And they're trying to make him be some sort of like some advocate, stirrer or something, or not. I don't know how they're spinning it.
And he wasn't. He was just like trying to, kind of like ease a bad situation, because tempers were flared.
It's crazy.
I mean, those black Israelites were really, really being a bit over the top.
They were, but like most, I mean.
And didn't they say something this morning to the Native people? Was that something that I listened to that was something else? Because they said, the reason you got kicked off your land is because
something or another. I mean, that guy was
just. Did you watch that?
He was picking on everybody.
But was it there in DC?
I think so. Yes.
Wow.
It was like.
So they were just like instigating.
Yes. First of all, I want to say hi to everybody because you guys, you make this show, and thank you so much.
And we have Queen Tilia here.
Hello,
and
Queen Tilia.
She is a new listener.
Thank you for joining us
yesterday, and then she said, "Yay, you actually recognized me in the chat."
Of course.
Like, yes,
we do. We
love our family here.
Yes.
And she said something about, the eclipse causes a lot of behavior problems. It's where the werewolf tales started, because it's when people go animalistic.
Yes. And she asked if we have an interview tonight. No, tonight's just and you guys.
We're interviewing you, and you're interviewing me,
and you guys, and sharing and talking and all the great stuff. And we have, a nice little show lined up for you guys.
And yes, Queen Tilly, I do have kids. I haven't seen them, but I do have children.
Yes. And hello, Anne.
Yes. And Bill
and
H,
Bill and Robbie,
and
Michael, Robin, Robbie.
Damien was here earlier.
Yes.
And who else? 33, 3D, worldwide.
Hey.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. And Phoenix, I am, of course. Hey, Phoenix.
Course,
yes.
Our native shaman.
But what do you guys think of this craziness? I mean, my God.
None doing. Wow. Hi, None doing.
All the way from UK.
All the way from the UK. All right.
I lived in the United Kingdom from 1988 to 1990. Originally Kent, and then I moved to London, Tootenbeck. I worked for Workbridge Stock Exchange. I was security there. 2 years I lived in England. So yes.
So 33 says, pure hate, we know who that comes from.
Yes.
Tisk, he was trying. I saw that and heard his view. I'm with him. He is worried about the future generation too. Too much hate. You see how both spew it like parrots.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, you saw little G all over that paradigm right there. And then the media takes off with it. And like I said, I'm not going to take sides. The only thing I'm going to say is bad behavior by the teens, bad behavior by those that are pushing religion and their dogma, and bad behavior by that mother who wished that they had more blankets with whatever.
Can you believe that? I mean, to say that, to say that they wish that they would have murdered more native people.
And get this, there's an attorney, because of course, attorneys always like to, put the little fillers in there, taking on the case for free because they want the publicity. And it's like they're trying to sue people on Twitter because they're saying whatever they're saying. It's like, what happened to freedom of speech? Do you guys not see what is being done here? Okay, I don't agree with what the Black Israelite was saying, very crude stuff, but he's got the right to say what he wants to say. That's his freedom of speech. Okay, I don't, it's like what I can't stand is the disrespect of these teenagers in your face, in front of that elder. I mean,
seriously, this man, the elder, is an American veteran.
Yes,
and basically, I mean, he is a person that deserves respect because he has earned it. I mean, he's older.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how this kid could just be right in his face.
I mean, that's the mother of the kid who I just showed what she wrote. Where do you think he gets it from? Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Parents are not knowing how to bring up their children. They're bringing them up to be disrespectful brats. Not good.
In the meanwhile, there was a pro-life rally that was pretty much kind of like put to bed, and before that there was a women's rights rally as well the day before. And all we hear in the media now is this confrontation between a Donald Trump supporting group of kids, right? Make America Great Again hat. And it's almost like they want to stage these things.
I think it's staged. I think it's all a political
ploy.
It's
DC.
Yes.
All they do is like get these little situations and then they make it look like, it's like some amateur videotaping event, because I saw who originally put the rally together and videotaped it. It was like this person who's like, I don't know if it was one of those Black Israelites or something, but had like this Muslim name, and then they removed the video. So now we don't have the whole story. We don't know what happened.
Exactly. Before we go on with our show, I wanted to give a shout out to Zuki, Abbot, Zamora, and trying to get her on the show. She just lives out where there's not a lot of great technology and great bandwidth. So I don't know if we're going to try to get her on the phone. She just finished making this documentary that's taken her 3 years. And the documentary, let me go ahead and share this so you guys could kind of take a look as we read from it. If this screen share lets me do this. Okay. Zuki lives in Colorado, and I don't know if they're married or her partner, great people, both of them, Zuki's very spiritual, very loving human being, put together this wonderful documentary, and the links are also down below if you guys are interested in ordering it. I think it's something that's very beautiful because, believing birth, redesigning the course of humanity.
It's a beautiful statement for organic human
Yes.
growth, organic human life, not AI.
Exactly.
Just the old-fashioned, beautiful way that life is brought into this world.
Right. And, you know, at last, there's a film that I can share with my friends and clients wholeheartedly. This film satisfies on every level. The information given is spot on, and the birth photos and videos are beautiful and inspiring. I cried several times watching this masterpiece. Laura Shanley, author of Unassisted Childbirth. You know, and again, you guys could go in here, watch the trailer, you know, support Zuki. Great work that she's done. Like I said, we're going to try to see how we could get her on so she could talk about the wonderful things. She's a very spiritual woman, as I mentioned before, and it's something so beautiful, guys. And, you know, you visit the online store, and again, the links are right in the description area. So if you guys, you know, tell them Real Talk with a Cummings sent you, and show her some support. You know, natural birthing.
What a beautiful, beautiful reality.
Instead of like white light, man in a white coat, pulling baby out, taking baby, snipping the cord right away, injection right away. I mean, everything that we're doing, folks, this is why we're behaving worse than animals, because animals behave better than humans. And it's because of this synthetic world, this synthetic life, this religious dogma, you know, that people are just spewing hate. It needs to stop.
And, you know, we're not saying this because we're holding on to it at all. Because Phoenix made a comment like, oh, let's not, you know, she said something. Are you buying into hate again? They're just showing their true colors. Let it go. And
Phoenix,
we're not buying into hate.
Phoenix, I'm gonna is it scorn you? What's the word? For a second. Reprimand you. Okay. 54-year-old Mark Angelo once Maritza is going to scorn you, because it's important to know the truth. It's important to not just sweep things under the rug, because evil will continue to be evil unless it's exposed. So sometimes it is important for us to feel. It's, you know, we can't sit, we're not robots. That's what they're trying to make us be, is robots. So there's nothing wrong with saying and exposing and telling people that it's not okay to do what they're doing.
And she's like, are you running down that trail of fear tonight?
There's no fear. Do I look like I'm fearful?
We're just expressing what is happening in this
world. I don't
world.
even fear. If the devil came and sat right next to me, I wouldn't fear him. I don't fear anything or anyone. I know my divinity, and I know who I am. And in my divinity, I am speaking up to let people know that it's not okay to do what they're doing.
Yeah, we're not fearful. We're not saying this because we're angry and holding anything.
Yeah.
We're just expressing what, you know, it's like water cooler talk today for people.
Yes.
You know, and we really want to know what you guys think.
Yeah.
You know, because that's why we bring up these topics. This show is interactive.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, back in the day, my kids used to love this show, Blue's Clues. And it was an interactive show where the kids participated in the program.
Yes.
And that's what makes it. And that's what makes our program what it is, because we love the interaction with you guys. And if you guys would call, we would also love that.
Yes.
You know? But, you know, we'll take what we can get.
Yes, exactly. Let's see what else.
Girl with No Name Spooner said had all 3 of my kids natural.
Awesome. I mean, that's the way, you know, it's like, yeah, it's painful. And I wouldn't know because I never had any kids. But isn't pain our biggest teacher? That's how we grow, knowing and feeling. That's how you really, it's like they're trying to make people robots. Epidural, then cut your stomach up instead of allowing the natural way. That's, you know, to me, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And what was it? Oh, what was it?
Hey, Phil.
Yeah, Phil. Been thinking about you two all day while reading about the UK charity Mermaids, which is dedicated to transing children. I value your perspective so much.
Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, thank you, Phil. Because, you know, what is coming out of the Tavistock transgender clinic over there in the UK is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, when you find out that the Tavistock Institute is behind all of this stuff, you realize that it's an organization and foundation that was set up to be like the MK Ultra Center for Great Britain and the home of like all this mind control and psyop and activity and all this brainwashing that's going on. And this is now coming to our children, and that is where we need to just say, okay, not our kids. Yeah.
And Bill says, Queen, she's not a troll. No, that's right.
No, Phoenix is not a troll. Phoenix is a lot because we love her. We love her perspective. So age does not make an elder necessarily, in my opinion. No, it doesn't. I mean, some people don't mature.
Right.
But, a lot of people do deserve to have that honor given to them in their old age.
Because the thing is, there's no respect this day and age. It's like the fast food generation, the technological, everything that's, taking place. And today we're going to talk, about language and gender technology, the Tower of Babel all over again, because I believe that language, the way we choose words and all this technological advancement is really getting us into a lot of trouble.
Well, Queen Tilia, you say my cousin Sean is trans and gets a lot of hate online. So I love, we'll show your channel. I hope that it's okay with Sean because
we're not
typical pro-trans.
We're not pro the transition.
We're pro-expression.
Yeah.
But, I know that I was born male.
And I know I was born female.
And Mark knows he was born female. So.
And, we did what we did, but we find out that through the years of research and what we're seeing that we've basically been used as guinea pigs to bring in an agenda, and children are being used right now, and people are being poisoned with hormones, hormones that shorten your life, hormones that ages you, hormones that change your DNA, things that people do themselves to try to create a scenario that will never be. And I think it's important for trans people to realize the truth so they could have a healthy transition if they decide to transition.
And you know what the disgusting thing is to the reality of this is that people want to change their sex in the trans community so badly that they're willing to give up a part of their humanity in order to get there. So if artificial intelligence were to present itself to the transgender community, they would bite into it hook, line,
of course,
and sinker.
And they're using the trans community. It's like a bridge to the transhumanism. And Bill says Travis Scott is disgusting. They implement the psyop bullshit here. Yep. It's totally. They do.
And Queen Tilia says, I hear that in the United Kingdom, they will have a sex education transgender class beginning in like 2021, 2022.
It's like, why do we have to fix what's not broken? Sex, biology is biology. People have personalities, different personalities, stereotypes, that they might want to fit in, but sex is sex, and personality is personality. Your personality comes in different colors of the rainbow. Sex is male, female, or intersex. And intersex is a totally different condition from the transgender condition.
And girl with no name Spooner said, I would do it over every time having a natural birth.
I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure it's got to be, an amazing experience. I was scared out of my wits by my aunt who, she thought she was doing some favor by telling me all these things, but I think it's what made me go I'm never doing that. If getting married to a guy means I have to go through having babies and having that pain, I'm going for the other team. And I think that really freaked me out. So whatever you do, parents or aunts and uncles, don't tell the little girl about having babies and how much it hurts and whatever, because it'll freak them out. I got freaked out anyway.
Well, Fana, hi, Fana.
Hey, Fana.
Says booking the birth. That's what people do these days.
Oh.
They book their birth.
Yeah. And so and it's better than going to some freaking hospital and, it's just crazy stuff, I tell you.
No, but you wouldn't hate Sean, would you? An opinion is good. No,
we don't hate anyone. We don't hate him. We try to educate people. And see, that's the problem with the trans community. They call us bigots. They call us transphobe because we're educating. We're trying to be the other voice. We're trying to be the voice of reason, you know? And I've been through this since 2003. I've interviewed thousands of people from all over the world who are trans, doctors, professionals, you know, and I think there needs to be a voice of reason in telling people, hold your horses, you know, make sure this is what you want because this is permanent. Once you do what you do, you can't get rid of this, okay? And in the end, you learn that it really solves nothing. No. And as you get older, you get sicker. You know, one of the things that I noticed with the years of testosterone, my joints, I'm not the same. A lot of trans guys end up just standing there and having a fractured toe or ligament rupture because female bodies cannot take that amount of testosterone. With male bodies, they're not supposed to take that much of estrogen because it causes problems. So people need to know the truth about what they're getting themselves into. And you can't listen to the medical community because they're pushing this stuff.
Oh, they are. They are. You know? And, you know, I mean, for all of those trans people out there who end up watching our show, maybe just falling on it or something, we don't hate.
God, no.
We don't.
We
hate
love you.
We love you.
Yeah.
You know, I got a messenger, Facebook Messenger conversation started with this person named Shani, and they had written to you, and you blocked them on YouTube, right? So they're on like
Facebook.
On Facebook, was it? Because I was like, Mark doesn't want to hear the same old. You know, they're saying that. Oh, I was like, you know, that they're a person that, you know, has a boyfriend. They have a wonderful transgender life.
67-year-old boyfriend, yeah.
Okay, and then they go on to say, Mark is not a biological female. Mark is actually Martin LaRue or something. I mean, comes up with all these names.
They're crazy.
And says Mark is doing this is on YouTube for money.
Oh yeah, lots of money. I'm so rich.
Mark was born a biological man. I mean, I'm like, okay, I go to bed with Mark every night, and I don't see a male genitalia down there. It's not that. So for those of you who think that Mark is bio,
I would bring my pants on and show you, but I'm sure YouTube would shut me down.
He is not. Okay, so please don't spread rumors and lies like that. It's like it's so stupid. And then people are asking, so how do you two have sex? How do you two bring life? Yeah. And it's like, we're not two men. There is one woman.
Right here.
There is one man. And that's a heterosexual couple. I know it's hard to comprehend. I know that our gender expression is different than this typical of what we understand. But that's the truth. We're a quirky couple.
Yeah.
I mean, so
Phil said, exactly, Mark, this is what it is. So horrifying to me. This generation of kids are being used as guinea pigs for political reasons. And that's all it is, Phil. Political drive. We are being used as puppets, as guinea pigs, and people are none the wiser. It's like, when are people going to remove their veils from their eyes? It's crazy.
And Bill says they are allowing sales of sex dolls modeled after 3-year-olds in the UK.
Tell me that's not pedophilia. That P is going to be attached to the LGBT real soon.
Unbelievable.
It's crazy.
And Anne says, the Cummings are beautiful souls.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And
I'm against the agenda for the young. Imposing it is wrong.
Totally. And imposing on anyone. It's like, you want to do what you want to do and you're an adult. That's your problem. Don't be waving the flag. Don't be wanting to push it down people's throat. If you're a guy wanting to be appearance as a woman, don't go trying to push yourself in women's spaces. Honor women. They've been through enough. They don't need to add an extra, stressor load on them.
We got together back in 2015. We were invited to go to a Women's Liberation Front get together during the MANA conference, the Midwives Association of North America, where they were protesting what MANA was doing with the whole guidelines of what constitutes a female and what a pregnant person and stuff. They wanted to change the language, and I think they have, right?
They have already.
They have changed the language.
Changing language
To pregnant person in order not to offend the trans man who wants to get pregnant and carry a child 9 months and then have it be born.
They want their cake and eat it too. They want to wear their beard.
Okay, so we're invited. And during the conversation, you know, these women were so nice to me. Okay. I was born biological male. Okay. But they accepted me. And at the end of the day, they said, we see you as our sister. And that was like a really nice gesture on their part, you know, and that was something that is earned, not something that is like taken. It's not an entitlement. You know, if that's what people want to give you, you know, if women want to give trans women the respect that way, then that's their business. You know, it's not our business to take it and to usurp their personal space and their personal right to be who they are.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, speaking about language and gender technology, the Tower of Babel all over again. Well, in language with grammatical gender, each noun is assigned to one of the classes called genders, right? Which form a closed set. Most such languages usually have from 2 to 4 different genders, but some are attested within up to 20.
The division into genders usually correlates to some degree, at least for a certain set of nouns, such as those denoting humans, with some property or properties of the things that particular nouns denote. Such properties include animacy or inanimacy, humanness or non-humanness, and biological sex.
Few or no nouns can occur in more than one class. Depending on the language and the word, this assignment might bear some relationship with the meaning of the noun. For example, woman, quote unquote, is usually feminine or maybe arbitrary.
Gender is considered an inherent quality of nouns, and it affects the forms of other related words, a process called agreement. Nouns may be considered the triggers of the process, whereas other words will be the target of these changes.
These related words can be depending on language, determiners, pronouns, numerals, quantifiers, possessives, adjectives, past and passive, participles, articles, verbs, adverbs, complementarize, and adposition. Gender class may be marked on the noun itself, but will also always be marked on other constituents in a noun phrase or sentence. If the noun is explicitly marked, both triggers and target may feature similar alteration.
In today's technological advancement and gender swap, there's a new confusion of language. Are we living in another Temple of Babel confusion?
Consider the opening lines from the story. Now the whole world had one language and a common speech, right? As men moved eastward, they found a plain in the Shinar and settled there.
They said to each other, "Come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They used brick instead of stone and tar for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens so that we may make a name for ourselves." Genesis 11:1-4.
Find that interesting, so that we can make a name for
ourselves. The ego.
Yeah, name for ourselves. And that was in Genesis 11:1-4. Note in this story that there is a technological innovation, the making of fire-hardened bricks that were both uniform and very hard. As such, they could bear enormous weight. Further, the uniform size of the bricks and the use of tar, asphalt, to bind them meant that the weight was more uniformly distributed, and thus the walls could reach much higher than the stone walls, which bore weight so irregularly due to the varying shape and the size of the stones.
So we're dealing with a technological breakthrough, and now the men of that early time could build higher than ever before. The results were impressive, and man, being in his fallen condition, took great pride in what he had done. He claimed now the capacity to make a name for himself and build a tower so high he could walk into heaven like he owned the joint.
Keyword pride, you know? And this is very much of a stumbling block today, for we are very technological. The fact is, we have been through a period of wondrous invention, ingenuity, and technology. We have been to the moon and back, so they say. We have seen the dawn and advancement of electricity, computers, television, medical science, physical science, and all the endless gadgets and devices that enhance and simplify our life.
But technology has a way of fooling us, as we see in the story of the Tower of Babel. We start to think we're so great that we can save ourselves, that we don't need God or the wisdom of our ancestors. If Babel rose high, look at our skyscrapers. It's very easy to be impressed with ourselves.
Now, I wanted to know, don't fully agree with everything the article is saying, that we don't, I don't believe that we need a deity to make us whole. I believe that we need the qualification, the characteristics of this great I am. We need to live by that kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? By that kind of standards. But, the way mankind is going about this is all the wrong way. It's very arrogant. It's very me-centered. They're missing the picture of what we actually need to do with these great powers.
Well, it builds up the kingdom that is in your psyche, your ego. You get to create this world for yourself and your place in it.
Exactly. Sorry.
But it is an illusion. We really know so very little. What we know amounts to a period, literally, dot, at the end of a sentence in one book in the Library of Congress. Our technology inebriates us, just like it did of old at Babel. And in our stupor, we overestimate our strength and become braggadocios. Like teenagers, we proclaim, I know a few things, to which God must have to laugh and say, you're right, you do a few things, very few things.
Now, I think it's funny about the teenagers here. It's like, I think what humankind is forgetting, besides forgetting humility, is forgetting that I think that in the past, were more technologically advanced than we are today. I think there's kind of mixture where we think we're more advanced than the years past, and I think we're degrading instead of upgrading. And I think it's because the little G's that mess with us have messed our memory, our timeline, our life, and everything that goes in it. And I think that, it was little G that said, let us go down and confuse their language.
Right.
Because I can't believe that a loving God would want to do something horrible to us just because we're being playful and inquisitive teenagers. Pride is a very deadly thing, for by it we come to think of ourselves incorrectly and we take dangerous risks. We tend to think we are more powerful than we are. We think we can beat the consequences of our acts, and I think that we're still learning. We're still understanding. And I think religion has dumbed us down even more. So, we can't get too cocky or can't get ahead of ourselves. Through pride, we act recklessly and think we are no longer small, tiny, and in need of God and one another for all we do. We forget we are contingent beings, fragile and vulnerable. Our meat suit is vulnerable. I think our spirit is very strong, the spirit that connects directly to the Almighty. So through pride, we go on sinning and think we will never have to face judgment or even the simple physical consequences of what we do. Through pride, we can feel so invisible, but this is very dangerous because we are not invisible. And I think one of the reasons we're not invincible is because we have not connected. We are to become one. We are to return to that energy source, the absolute, the divine, and together as a collective, we will be stronger. But we know that there are little G's that don't want us to go there.
Absolutely. So we forget that we are tiny specks, like tiny specks on a slightly larger speck, Earth, sailing around a fiery speck, the sun, in an immense cloud of specks called the Milky Way. But even this seemingly large galaxy is but the size of a speck in the full range of space, for there are over 100 million galaxies.
Lots of galaxies. Pride is our mortal enemy. And I think ego and pride pretty much, there is nothing so destructive in us as individuals and as a race as pride. Look at what happened this Sunday. Everybody pridefully waving their flag of what they believe in instead of saying, wait a minute, why are we fighting each other? The elites are the ones who need to fight. Pride is the most deadliest of all drives. It leads to every other sin, for we think ourselves wiser than the absolute. It makes us forget the absolute and our debts to others and to the resources of this world. Through pride, we think too highly of ourselves and forget our fragility. We stop accepting necessary and healthy limits and consider the wisdom of the past to be childish. we overrule the absolute and our ancestors too. Pride is too foolish. By being blind, it does not even recognize itself.
You know, that whole issue that we're dealing with this concept of pride and humankind and its battle that it has with pride and this making a name for ourselves and everything. We were originally, like when we came out of our mother's wombs, we were in contact with our consciousness. We were basically like intact as spirit beings.
Right.
And over time,
we're going to talk about that.
We've lost it.
Yeah, we've
lost it.
We have it. And, you know, there's the outer state. I'm definitely want you. We're going to bring that in.
Okay. So one might ask if God will act again and scatter our language or some other thing. Perhaps he will.
And I think that's already happening with the gender confusion. The fact that people are talking, you know, like you go online and you got a group of people that believe that those kids are right. The other group of people that believe that the other people's right. And it's like, we're speaking and no one's listening.
It's almost like we are literally on two different parallel universes. Yeah. Like we see something that's happening and we respond in a certain way. And other people see it how it's happening,
and they're responding.
Yeah,
so it's like we've been confused already. You know, with all this technology and gender confusion and all the confusion there is, it's happening already.
And you know, this whole social media extravaganza has really created a huge arena for like critical people to just like anonymously,
keyboard warriors behind the keyboard. They don't show their face. They say whatever they want to say. I bet you those people wouldn't say the same thing they would if they were in front of a person.
But I wonder if he has not already done so.
I guess that's, yeah.
Consider how hard it is in this age of communication to actually communicate. People have developed such different worldviews and work from such fundamentally different premises that it is almost becomes impossible for us to have a civil conversation.
We have dabbled in the language of relativism so long, we really have little left to say and do agree, even on some of the most basic morals.
Don't agree.
Not agree. Yeah. Let alone civic principles. And as developing any consensus becomes increasingly impossible, we see a breakdown in the unity we desperately need to survive.
The West as we know it is passing away. We are depopulating. Our families are disintegrating. Our economies are in ruined states. And there seems to be no agreement on what to do about it. I mean, recently, Trump wanted to compromise with Pelosi and sent like this thing saying that the DACA kids were going to be given a reprieve for 3 years if he would, you know, the whole wall thing. But it's like nobody wants to solve the problem. They want the problem, like John Keane said yesterday. This is just probably just a shadow of what is to come because they want our economy to fall apart.
Of course, they're creating it. They're creating all these problems.
And we read something, what was it? It was in the David Icke presentation where he talked about some guy, Dr. May, in 1969, had written a book or something, and this phrase that saying all the things that were going to happen in the future.
And this was in 1970, yeah.
1970.
We know we should spend less, but no one is willing to do so. So deeply selfish have we become. You know, it's like, why waste resources? You know, I don't get it. Economic reform means some other slob has to take a hit, but don't touch my precious program or benefit. Developing any moral or political consensus seems quite a remote hope. Even as things get more and more critical, we still can't come to any agreement or even agree on the language of any agreement. Babel, anyone?
Perhaps we are being scattered and our language has been confused. Perhaps this is increasingly why we can no longer agree or even hold intelligent conversations, let alone reach consensus. Hence, our unity is scattered. Perhaps God has taken the proud and now thoroughly secular West and made it less possible for us to build our city. An old story, Babel is, but ever fresh.
So this God that many believe in, the one responsible for our life and outmost confusion of who we are and what we are capable of, Are they willing to confuse our gender or intellect, give us false tools to mislead us and to keep us away from who we truly are? I mean, that's what I'm seeing, you know? I'm seeing that this is all, history is repeating itself.
Yep.
Time and time again. Let's see.
33 D3D Worldwide 33 or 333 says, important subject, the Cummings. You two are very loving. I think many of us have grown. And this family has a few rules. We don't fear love all. We don't fear love all and never judge all. Have an angle that see the world
Oops.
Oh, I hate it when it does that. Well,
we got a massive wind thing going on outside. Okay. So Robbie says, I never experienced the orgasm part. LOL, 5 kids. And I wish.
Doesn't that say something for how we were created? You know, it's like, so the male is able to enjoy himself.
Yeah.
And the female, what does she get out of it if she doesn't get to climax?
Right. Just the pain and the 9 months of carrying the child in the womb.
If our hybrid designers and engineer
genetic, what is that I called God?
Genetic
operator.
Deity.
Deity, yeah. Designers are deity, yep. And let's see here.
We like Barbie and Ken doll. Well, I will pray for an amazing orgasm if I have a 6. I love you both so much. The way you have sexual intercourse would be considered a niche porn, wouldn't it? I thought
probably, but we're not. I'm sure it would, but you know, no money in the world.
Yes, Phil. There are even dolls modeled after one in the UK.
That's crazy. Apocalypse Now unveiling all the evil has sown. Look at as us, the love us, make all that was hidden known. Yep.
Who sent you hate messages? I would show their ass on Facebook to everyone. Yeah, well, a couple of weeks ago, I got threatened actually by a trans woman. We've gotten
death threats. We've gotten all sorts of different things. We're used to it.
I'm talking about during giving birth. I'm good.
Tori joins us. Hello, Tori. And Tori says, I just found you too. I am so joyful to hear you bring sanity in such a loving way. Thank you. Try.
April says, trans people take too much for granted, and I am also two-spirit, old school traditional.
That's a beautiful
thing. That's beautiful.
Yeah. That's
honored.
That's, you know, I think that's the organic. And you know how the enemy turns everything upside down? The organic has been medicalized and has been made into some freak show, and they're using children and they're hurting people's health instead of allowing people to express their personality, their two-spirit gender or essence.
Whoa, thank you.
Thank you. You're going to have to go all the way down. There
thank you, Fana.
Thank you. Oh, hell no, babies. Never. That's right.
That's right. Thank you, Fana.
Thank you so much, Fana. I appreciate you.
Okay. No. Here.
Let's see.
Did they say something? Phil said, did you read that?
Exactly. That is what's so horrifying to me. The generation of kids being used. Yeah, I think we already read that. We're trying to figure out where we left off in that comment because we're trying to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Getting closer.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about, okay. So Tori said, and Phil, how can people, this is Phil saying, how can people not see how Aurelian it is to change language and refer to women as menstruators and pregnant people? It's mind-boggling. And people are accepting it, Phil. I mean, that's why I'm thinking there's something going on. There's something really crazy going on where white is black and black is white, where good is it's evil and evil is good. You know, everything's just been turned upside down. You're almost like, are we living in the Twilight Zone?
I know. Martin is asking, so what's the tattoo, Mark?
Which one?
Symbol of some sort?
Which one?
I don't know. Which one are you?
Because I've got...
Okay.
I've got a
You still got
dragon.
Jessica on your thing.
Yeah, I got, and then that's like a...
got a lion.
Little band.
Little band.
Another lion. I got... Well, never mind.
Yeah.
I got them all over the place. Hey, Martin.
What?
Oh, that was Martin who asked.
Yeah, it was Martin,
Okay,
yeah.
I wasn't sure who.
What? This is more complex than quantum physics.
Oh, yeah.
So what did testosterone do to your body hair, Mark? Hairy down there, if you get me?
Well, I got hair all over my body.
Hairy bear.
Hairy bear. It's like everywhere.
On his
Even
back.
I lost the hair on my head. And of course, a lot of hair on the face. But it deepens your voice. Although I've always had a pretty deep voice. Just got a little deeper. And
you had a trail going down before. So you had some
because my mom took DES. And
but you were still very much a woman when you
progestin-induced sterilization. Yeah. And what it does with down there is we're all pretty much created as females. That's the default. If androgen hits, the system, then the ovaries drop and become testicle. The clitoris becomes a penis. So when trans men take testosterone, the clitoris, it grows around the size of the thumb. It doesn't get any bigger because there wasn't, it's not going through like a typical puberty that
and all of a sudden everything just seals itself up and turns into a sack, and
no, that doesn't happen.
Testes drop.
No, that doesn't happen. Just because
that's not what testosterone was?
No.
Oh, I thought people maybe thought that maybe that's what it did.
No, it's just a little thingy. Yeah.
So Tori says, I haven't known you, so I'll ask, do you feel you were pushed into changing your bodies by social programming?
I think so. I think what happened is because a lot of us have what we call Asperger's, neurological hiccup. We become very, that's a word, tunnel visioned. And, we feel like we don't belong in that opposite gender because we don't have the stereotypical characteristics. A lot of us were shamed, for being who we were. So we figure, well, if I just change this, then I won't be shamed, because you think magically everything's going to turn into
candy canes
and we're gonna little fairy godmother's gonna go doom and but no, you learn through the years is like, nope, it don't happen. So
that's not how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
So Redeemable Soul joins us. Hi, Redeemable Soul. You guys are amazing. I love that you speak so strongly about what you believe. I know you speak from huge experience.
Yes.
I've seen huge changes over the last 20 years with the gay/trans agenda, being gay myself.
A lot of changes. I mean, I remember I used to get into gay clubs when I was 16. This was when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. I'm 54 now. So there wasn't no trans anything. You had the tweaks that used to like to dress as girls, and they would do drag shows, and everybody had good old time, and nobody wanted to commit suicide, and nobody used it as a political thing. We lived, we lived. It wasn't the easiest of time, but we lived. Now everybody takes everything for granted. Everything is pushed down people's throats. Everything has become political. Now we got kids that are being paraded in New York City's Times Square on their little, what is that called? The where they put billboards and stuff like that, and it's just crazy. It's insanity.
Bill H says, I still think the Tower of Babel was about people working together. Yahweh, the angry, jealous adversary, stepped in.
Yeah, and that's why I said, so this God that many believe in, the one responsible for our life and most confusion of who we are and what we are capable of, are they willing to confuse our gender, our intellect, give us false tools to mislead us and to keep us away from who we truly are? I think they're doing it all over again.
I think that one of the Gnostic interpretations of the story of the Tower of Babel was one of like how people were building the tower, symbolizing that they were building their personality. They were working on their personality, and they were neglecting their consciousness, because Nimrod was like, all about hunting, and, he was like, always trying to conquer things and stuff like that. And that's what we all build our own personal towers of Babel within ourselves. So this story could have multiple meanings to it. And I think that the ancients actually did that. They didn't just have one simple story. I think it was a story within a story within a story, so that as you developed and grew in your spirituality, that you could see some of that other than just what it looks like, right?
Exactly.
So you could like, oh, Oh, okay. So that's what this was about. This is about spiritually growing and leaving our personality behind
Right. And then
and focusing
one of the
on.
things that I've noticed about this generation and the time we're living in, people are very emotionally immature. And everything is taken in face value, like materialistic good. Everything is about the looks and how cool this is and that. Oh, my new iPad, and I need to get this new, this, that, and the other. And everything is just so superficial. People are not going within. They're not maturing inside. That's why we see the clash, the fighting, you know, because it's like being in the playground when you're 5. My mommy's
like,
better than your mommy.
I'm going to be 49 in 2 weeks. Okay. Mark's 54.
Going to be
I'm
55.
not interested in playing. I look better than you do because, you know, you're just jealous of me. And, you know, those games, it's like, I don't care. You know, I'm trying not to even worry about this stuff. You know, this is the stuff that I need to leave behind,
Exactly.
not the stuff that I need to preoccupy myself with.
Yeah.
So, duplicitous, says Fana. Awesome look, Lena, sporting a 40s classic look. You two have a good evening, Chaser. So building the kingdom without instead of within.
Exactly. That's
wise words.
Yeah, that's what people are doing.
Pride equals failure.
Exactly.
Says April.
And Kathleen says, can't be long. I love you all. Thank you, Cummings. I'll watch later when I get more power in my house batteries. Love
awesome.
You. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for even coming in.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Hola, beautiful
Hola.
spirits. Hello, Lori.
Hello, Lori. Yeah.
Little G's are really demons.
They are. They're really bad ones too. You know, they so easily get into people because people are inviting them in with all that negativity and all that lack of self-worth and all that anger and all that shame that they walk around with.
Has Christ awakened in you both? Robbie Rice asks.
What it's awakened in me is my consciousness, the knowing who I am, that I am part of the divine, the absolute. I'm awakened to the fact that I have a family, a universal family, that we all need to connect and love one another, that we all need to work together to change what's happening in this world. We are the ones that we have been waiting for. People have stood around waiting for a savior and waiting to be saved and worshiping. And where has it gotten us? Centuries pass and centuries go. We need to awaken to who we are and do something about it instead of just, you know, wasting our time building temples, building things, you know, and doing stuff that is not going to get us anywhere.
So Phil is asking us a question, pretty serious one. Mark and Lena, I am currently trying to explain to a friend why IDing children as young as 6 as transgender is problematic. Any advice? My problem is that he keeps insisting that this will help them and save lives.
No, on the contrary, this will sterilize them, make them sick for a lifetime. Children don't have a clue about gender. Your brain doesn't fully develop till you're 25 years old. You know, we don't let children make decisions about what they're going to eat. You know, we don't let children make decisions about things that are going to be permanent like that. Why are we starting to do that now as society? You know, the majority of these kids are either going to be gay or lesbians or just quirky. Gender is not unchangeable. It's not something you could go and try it on and think, well, I'll replace it with this because I don't like it. You don't get to do that. And that's the danger of what we're seeing this day and age, that people think that they could change whatever they want. You know, people that have, what's that disease called? The anorexia. You know, do we starve the anorexics to death because they see a fat person in the mirror? Do we tell a schizophrenic it's okay, here, have the cape and fly off the roof? We don't. Why? Because we know that they know no better. Children don't know any better. Some adults don't know any better. You know, so yeah, I would just, you know, we have a blog link, and we have in that blog, there's a lot of great information. You're more than welcome to look through those articles. I even have a video of a doctor who really tries to explain this whole concept, how crazy it is.
LOL. I love how Mark can never remember Billboard and his response is always so adorable.
I'm like, I get stuck. I'm like, help me out here.
I'm like, oh wait, let me read his mind.
You know what? You know, and I've stopped. I took my last shot last week. What I notice is after my brain gets saturated, because I was very sharp when I wasn't on it. Then I started.
And that was an article we read about a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it does. I mean, testosterone in a female brain, it just takes away your ability to put words together. And it's not just me saying this. I've heard other trans guys say this. Not only does it hurt your neuromuscular system, but it also hurts your brain.
That's crazy.
So, you know, I took my last shot. And although I was taking small amounts, even that small amount, you know, I'm 54. You know, it's like my body's just saying, it's time to kiss it goodbye. And it's, you know, it's just, you got to listen to your body, you know?
Yeah.
And so a lot of times I noticed that, you know, when I stopped tea for that, I was sharp again, you know, and now it's like, it's back again. It's like, it's hard to formulate words.
Well, I'm here for you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Queen Tilia says, have you got Patreon? You need support. You guys need support.
What we do have is our PayPal, and the link is down below or on the, in the description area or in the actual, what you been thinking, YouTube page.
Yes.
Yes.
In the description.
Yes.
Fan everything. The twinks. I love me a twink.
Yeah, they're very cute. Now all of a sudden these twinks want to become women. What's up with that? You know?
April says, I no longer very rarely experience verbal and other forms of assault. How is everyone in chat? I'm back. Oh, Damien.
Hey, Damien.
We need a house tour and see how you live. I bet it's beautiful.
We do have a video somewhere in our thing. When we moved, we rent this little place. We were actually, our long-term goal is to get a traveling van because we both love to travel, and we did it for 90 days inside our Prius. There's a playlist called Gypsy Blue Nomad, The Adventure, and we take you along with us in that playlist. But our goal is to be able to travel and meet up with people and educate, do seminars.
Meet people and hug necks and you know, really just connect. Yeah,
and do like get-togethers with education and really just, you know, minister the truth of love and light and empowering people and educating people regarding health issues and all the different things that we do here on Real Talk with the Cummings, but do it on
Real Touch with the Cummings.
Yes, Real Touch with the Cummings.
So, Queen Tilia, we need a good analogy, Mark, Bill H. said. And Queen Tilia said, will you grieve each other when death comes or celebrate you finally have become what you're waiting for?
I believe that, I mean, I don't fear death, you know, and I believe that even if one dies before the other, that essence
won't happen.
Yeah, the essence never leaves. You know, the essence never really goes. I mean, all I do is I close my eyes and I feel her. Even like she's taking a shower and I just like, whenever I want that essence, I bring it. Because when you learn to become one with another person, they don't even need to be by your side for you to feel them. They become you. It's like this mesh, you know, and you know, we've made a pact that we have to go together, just like in the movie The Notebook. But if God forbid it doesn't happen that way, then
no, it will.
Okay, it will.
It will.
That's okay.
It's gonna happen that way.
Okay. All right. So
we're creator God.
That's right. Come to Maine. Well, we'll definitely, when we get this van going, we're gonna go all over the place.
We were planning on going to Maine
when we did the 90 days, but it got too cold.
No. It was too buggy.
Too buggy.
Remember?
Yeah.
And
we went to
was
so
too
many
stormy.
places.
Remember, we were going to go up the eastern seaboard.
We went to so many places. It's a blur. But we do have it on video, so we know we went there. It's in the playlist. It's also in the description area.
So Quintilli says, I'd love to see your travel videos. Sounds so cool.
Gypsy Blue Nomad. It's on the...
It's a playlist.
It's a playlist. And
it's pretty long.
Yeah, because we were 90 days traveling, so...
You are a guru, Mark. Oh, you two are so sweet.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you. All right. So altered states after innocence fades, developed personality. Childhood social and personality development emerges through the interaction of social influences, biological maturation, and the child's representation of the social world and the self.
This interaction is illustrated in a discussion of the influence of significant relationships, the development of social understanding, the growth of personality, and the development of social and emotional competence in childhood.
One of the things I want to point out, most people don't realize how important the first 5 years of life is. You're developing your future essence, your future mental disorders or mental balances. First 5 years, crucial. Parents, I highly suggest buying a psychological book for children and knowing how to treat that child, because their personality develops then. Everything from this gender confusion to everything, you know, it's really crucial.
I wanted to just acknowledge this comment.
Okay.
Quintilia said, I can't imagine, Mark, and I'm crying now because I lost my husband.
I'm so sorry.
He left me 4 years ago, and his clothes still smell of him.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is very touching. Very touching.
It's hard. I mean, loss is something that we're not taught to deal with. And I think that's something that should be taught in school. I think it's something that, you know, we need to know that this is not it, that this is just a stepping stone, and those we love, we will meet again, because we're connected, every single one of us. You can't like rip apart energy. It fragments, but eventually all comes back together again. And that, if you have any hope, do know that
big, huge hugs to you.
Yes, that
big, huge hugs.
That you will,
big,
you know, and I'm sure you feel him. I'm sure you close your eyes and you sense him and you feel him, because he's part of you and you're part of him. And no one could ever take that apart. No one could ever break you apart, not even death, you know. And just close your eyes and feel him. Listen to his words, the things he used to tell you. Feel the kiss, feel the touch. It's there. It's imprinted in your heart. No one can take that away from you, my friend.
He was the smile of the community and handed out free ice cream. So when he passed, the kids asked, where did Ice Cream Man go?
Wow. Phil says the album Divers by Jonathan Young explores this concept.
Joanna explores this concept. Bill H says, be careful about what psychology book you select for child rearing.
Oh yeah, that is true. But, you know, as a parent, at least learning a little bit of how important it is. Like, I got raised by a dictator dad. Couldn't touch anything. And if I went against his wishes, I would get thrown across the room. A child needs to explore. A child needs to know that they're worthy, that their opinion counts, so they could build autonomy, so they can learn how to make choices. You know, telling a child no for everything is not good. Give him choices. Would you like this? Or would you like that? You know, let him feel that he's part of the family, part of the decision making. You know, make him feel loved no matter what. He does something wrong, don't, you know, attack him. Just tell him the behavior is wrong, not him. And kids take everything to heart, and it's so, so crucial to know how to speak to a child, you know?
What was it? April said, hey, I have a radio show at the local community radio station volunteer there in central Canada. Will you please consider coming on within a couple of months? And I said, yes.
Yeah. Send us the information. We'd love to.
some email clarifications, of course.
Okay. You got our emails down below, transitionradioshow@gmail.com. It's on the description.
Hi, Suze. How are you? Thank you for coming around. Us. Thank you for the words. I feel his warmth at night when I'm falling asleep. His name was Marion. Wow. Well, Marion, I know loves you.
Yeah.
I know.
She knows that. She definitely knows that. So how have I become the kind of person I am today? Every adult ponders this question from time to time. The answers that readily come to mind include the influences of parents, peers, temperament, a moral compass, a strong sense of self, very important there, and sometimes critical life experiences such as parental divorce. And people don't realize, and I know that parents don't mean to get divorced, but that does influence a child, because the two-parent household gives some sort of security to a child, mom and dad. When that's broken, that brings down a lot of, a lot of walls for the kids.
Social and personality development encompasses these and many other influences on the growth of the person. In addition, it addresses questions that are at the heart of understanding how we develop as unique people. How much are we products of nature or nurture? How enduring are the influences of early experiences? The study of social and personality development offers perspective on these and other issues, often by showing how complex and multifaceted are the influences on developing children, and thus the intricate processes that have made you the person that you are today.
One of the things that I find very disturbing is when parents argue in front of their children, when they yell, when they raise their voices, when they break things, because that creates a very insecure world for the child. And I know that adults have arguments, but you should never have them in front of your kids, because that's just, it destroys. I know, because I grew up with that. I grew up with an abusive alcoholic father who used to beat up on my mother. And then my mother became very abusive verbally to him, and then became very verbally abusive towards me. And it's just, it's one of those things that, it's so horrible. It's so horrible. And then you end up making decisions later on in life that aren't of sound mind, because, your psyche becomes very fragile. Parents need to build their kids up, give them a moral compass, but at the same time, build them up and let them know, how important they are.
Especially those first 5 years,
Yes.
As Nundoing said, first 5 years are their starting block.
Yeah, that's what I said originally. First 5 years are very, very important.
And the natives knew that.
Oh gosh,
in a very powerful way, because they wouldn't even want to bring another child onto the family until after the child got all those 5 years to themselves.
It's like these parents that have a kid, and 2 years later they have another kid. It's like, raise that kid first 5 years. Make that kid the center of the universe. Love him. Give him, that ability to learn to be a secure adult, then bring in the next, sibling, and let him know the responsibility, because you start teaching children responsibility from a very young age, and really you just got to be careful. Okay, right here, Ben.
This interaction can be observed in the development of the earliest relationships between infants and their parents in the first year. Virtually all infants living in normal circumstances develop strong emotional attachments to those who care for them. Psychologists believe that the development of these attachments is
as
biologically natural as learning to walk, and not simply a byproduct of the parents' provision of food or warmth. Rather, attachments have evolved in humans because they promote children's motivation to stay close to those who care for them, and as a consequence, to benefit from the learning, security, guidance, warmth, and affirmation that close relationships provide. And I wanted to say that there is no other way that we could see that more clearly demonstrated than when you see a mama bear and her cubs, with her. They don't leave her sight. No. And for the first 2 years of their lives, they're just following mama wherever mama goes.
And notice how it says here, that attachment, that reassurance, some people think that their kid's too clingy, but that reassurance is what allows that little person to grow up to be a big person that could handle relationships, that could handle commitment, that could handle, being there for each other instead of always like wanting their space and wanting whatever. Because if you don't have it as a child, then you think that it's not normal to be able to be in a relationship so close to someone else, because you didn't know anything else but your mom kicking you out or telling you, here, go play outside, or let me drop you off at such and such place, instead of like, no, mama and child together. You know, you don't just drop your kid off somewhere, because then that creates problems, right?
It does.
You know, and I mean, it's like my mom would say, don't say that I'm your mother, because she wanted to like appear like she was a younger woman, you know, than she was. So that creates problems. That kind of makes you like, God, if I can't have a good relationship with my own mother and my own father, then how can you have a good relationship as you grow up as an adult?
Oh, I know.
You know, it really does.
Infants can be securely or insecurely attached with mothers, fathers, and other regular caregivers, and they can differ in their security with different people. The security of attachment is an important cornerstone of social and personality development, because infants and young children who are securely attached have been found to develop stronger friendships with peers, more advanced emotional understanding, and early conscience development, and more positive self-concepts. And then compare with insecurely attached children. You know, one of the things that I noticed, I went on a missions trip back in 1991, and part of the trip took us into Romania.
Mm-hmm.
And during the time, we went and visited a Romanian orphanage.
Mm-hmm.
And when you looked into some of the cribs of some of those children, you just saw lifeless, dead, emotionless children with no connection to the present world.
What do you think we have such a dysfunctional society this day and age? Because a majority of kids, as soon as a mom gives birth, 3 months later, they're placed in some daycare, or somebody else, the babysitter takes care of them while mom has to go back to work. We have to thank the Rockefellers for that, you know, they kind of, you know, created the woman working and all this stuff, and everything became a 2-income household. You know, the child is no longer being raised the way that its nervous system requires being raised. They're needy. They need that. They need that love, or else they grow up to be these unfunctional, socially deprived, poor coping skills humans that we're seeing today. This is consistent with attachment theory's premise that experiences of care resulting in secure or insecure attachments shape your young children development concept of the self, as well as what people are like and how to interact with them. Family relationships are significantly affected by conditions outside the home. For instance, the family stress model describes how financial difficulties are associated with parents' depressed moods, which in turn lead to marital problems and poor parenting that contributes to poor child adjustment. Isn't that what we're seeing in the world today? You know?
Another thing I wanted to add, that during that time when we were in that orphanage, some of us picked up some of those children from the cribs and stuff. And for the first time, you could see their eyes, like, it's almost like they turned on. Yeah. They got out of that robotic trance that they were in, and they felt like love for the first time.
Right. And you know what happens?
Seriously, it was like the first time they ever had that.
What happens with the children, they learn how to self-soothe because they're not being soothed. An elephant, a baby elephant, requires a lot of attention. If they don't get it, they become depressed and they can die. You know, so children are the same way. We are like neglecting the young. And when we neglect the young, we neglect the future, and we have the world that we see today.
And you know what we have a problem with is all of these prescription drugs are being aimed at children, specifically those ADHD, you know, OCD drugs that are being given to kids. And all they do is just deaden them emotionally inside, and they pretty much kind of like shut off their ability to feel, to emote. You know, it's very sad. Within the home, parental marital difficulty or divorce affects more than half the children growing up today in the United States. Divorce is typically associated with economic stresses for children and parents. The renegotiation of parent-child relationships, with one parent typically as primary custodian and the other assuming a visiting relationship, and many other significant adjustments for children. Divorce is often regarded by children as a sad turning point in their lives. although for most, it is not associated with long-term problems of adjustment.
Although developmental scientists used to believe that infants are egocentric, that is, focused on their own perception and experience, they now realize that the opposite is true. Infants are aware at any early stage that people have different mental states, and this motivates them to try to figure out what others are feeling, intending, wanting, and thinking, and how these mental states affect their behavior. And that's why when a kid learns to become empathic, because when they see problems and trouble, they try to learn how to read mommy's, reaction or daddy's reaction, or are they going to scream at me? Are they, it's something that.
Yeah. They are beginning, in other words, to develop a theory of mind. And although their understanding of mental states begins very simply, it rapidly expands. For example, if an 18-month-old watches an adult try repeatedly to drop a necklace into a cup, but inexplicably fail each time, they will immediately put the necklace into the cup themselves, thus completing what the adult intended but failed to do.
In doing so, they reveal the awareness of the intention underlying the adult behavior. Carefully designed experimental studies show that by late in the preschool years, young children understand that another's belief can be mistaken rather than correct, that memories can affect how you feel, and that one's emotion can be hidden from others. Social understanding grows significantly as children's theories of mind develops.
Personality develops from temperament in other ways. As children mature biologically, temperamental characteristics emerge and change over time. A newborn is not capable of much self-control, but as brain-based capacities for self-control advance, temperamental changes in self-regulation become more apparent.
For some, for example, a newborn who cries frequently doesn't necessarily have a grumpy personality. Over time, with sufficient parental support and increased sense of security, the child might be less likely to cry.
That is really painful when you have a colicky baby.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. It's almost like they have a vendetta against you, almost.
No, they just
to that point,
help it.
They can't help it, but you feel like, what is it? What did I do? What's wrong?
Colicky babies. And again, colicky babies are because of all the stuff that they're putting in them, the formula that is not breast milk, we're poisoning our babies.
In addition, personality is made up of many other features beside temperament. Children's developing self-concept, their motivations to achieve or to socialize, their values and goals, their coping styles, their sense of responsibility and conscientiousness, and many other qualities are encompassed into personality. These qualities are influenced by biological dispositions, but even more by the child's experiences with others, particularly those in close relationships that guide the growth of individual characteristics.
And that's very important because, some of it is biological. People have certain personality traits, but a lot of times it's nurture. It's what they see. If they see a parent that's constantly arguing and screaming at each other, if they see a parent that's constantly getting frustrated, then they become frustrated as adults. They take on that behavior. It's very, very sad that a lot of people have children. They don't realize how they're shaping the world of the child. Indeed, personality development begins with the biological foundation of temperament, but becomes increasingly elaborated, extended, and refined over time. The newborn that parent gazed upon thus becomes an adult with a personality of depth and nuance. Do we have?
Have a laugh. Hi, have a laugh.
Hey, thank you for joining us.
Cool little icon there. Have a laugh.
Yeah, it has a lasting impact.
Yeah. Tina says, hello, friends. Hi, Tina. None doing. All indigenous tribes strap the child to the mom for a reason.
Exactly.
Have a laugh says, because mom has to get money.
That's
not getting breast milk or love. People chasing materialism, big houses, new cars, new clothes.
People have sold their souls.
Me time.
Yeah, people have we are seeing a byproduct of what has been created.
Kids are just another toy. but they should be the entire focus.
Exactly. Exactly.
Bill H says failure to thrive.
Totally. Totally.
And undoing.
A cat keeps her kittens exclusively to herself until at least 12 weeks. In a cat years, that's about 7 years old. And we know that because if cat is weaned off too quickly from their mother or just dropped, then you got a very needy suckling cat that won't stop suckling. And, you know,
that was Pokey,
yeah,
our cat, this summer.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, seriously, psychology 101. Before you decide to go have sex and have babies, learn about child development, normal and abnormal child psychology. What needs to be integrated during what time? Are you going to have a child stuck in the oral stage, which are the smokers and the people that eat because they didn't surpass that stage, or stuck in the anal stage if you try to potty train that kid too early? I mean, there's just so many things. And, you know, I know we shouldn't believe every single, you know, psychologist, but learn your child. Just love them. Give them your time. You know, have less, work less, spend more time with your family.
So Robbie Rice says, oh, wait, Have a Laugh said, that's why I'm empathic. Robbie Rice says, absolutely, Mark. My husband is 800 miles away for 2 months, and I'm fine. So Bill H says, my daughter was our first, and she was one of the hardest babies ever.
They all have different personalities too. You know, I've heard parents say the first one was this, the second one was easy. But I think it's also like, it all depends. As you mature, then your ability to parent matures too. There's always the first kid is like, what do I do with this? Yeah. You know, that kind of thing. And then second one comes along, it's a piece of cake. You're the first one already. But you know, let you have, you know, their personality as well.
Tina says, Bill H., my daughter was the first and hardest too. She has colic, and I was a single mom at the time. Thankfully, I lived at home with parents to help. It was so hard. Like I said, colicky babies. And my first son was very colicky.
Did
very colicky.
Your ex-wife breastfeed or
yeah.
What? And was she eating something that might, because mothers don't really.
She loved her strawberry lemonberry slushes.
Okay, well, that's high corn fructose syrup. So there's the colicky right there. Mothers, you got to be careful what you eat when you're breastfeeding because it goes directly into their little tummies, and their little tummies aren't fully developed. So you've got to like eat bland, and you've got to eat things of proper food combination so that they learn how to properly food combine so they're not colicky.
And that's probably what happened.
Oh, I know. I gave advice to Native American friends of Ted, and their kid was very colicky, and I told her what to do and change her diet. She said in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Stop.
Is that couple?
Yeah, yeah. She forever loves me because I told her, what are you eating? And I told her what.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It's elementary, my dear.
It is, but boy, when you're in the thick of it, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But it's not their fault.
No, because no one's taught them. All right, so social and emotional competence. Social and personality development is built from the social, biological, and representational influence discussed above. These influences result in important developmental outcomes that matter to children, parents, and society. A young adult's capacity to engage in socially constructive action, helping, caring, sharing with others, to curb hostile or aggressive impulses, to live according to meaningful moral values, to develop a healthy identity and sense of self, and to develop talents and achieve success in using them. These are some of the developmental outcomes that denote social and emotional competence.
The development of gender and gender identity is likewise an interaction among social, biological, and representational influences. Young children learn about gender from parents, peers, and others in society, and develop their own conceptions of the attributes associated with maleness or femaleness, called gender schemas. They also negotiate biological transitions such as puberty that cause their sense of themselves and their sexual identity to mature.
So when there is a problem in that household, the child picks up on that. And because little kids are people pleaser, they will change their reality to accommodate, this is all very, nurture, not nature. And we're seeing a massive problem. Why? Because there's a massive problem in the household.
Yeah. Bill H said, my ex breastfed. We tried everything. She would not sleep through the night. She's almost 26 now. Hopefully she sleeps through the night now. Right?
But even if the baby's breastfed, what the wife is eating is major, because babies develop food allergy. What is
sugar?
Yeah. And sugar is one of those things that babies can't break down.
I think one of the key things that you said was bland.
Yeah.
Bland. You can't eat spicy foods.
Exactly. And sugary foods.
I mean, it's
proper
like
food combination.
You can't have your pickles and ice cream.
No, because that is, remember, they're developing. Their little digestive tract doesn't understand all this food differences. So mommy should mono-meal. Mommy should learn how to eat, proper food combination, not a whole bunch of slew of stuff. And then little baby, his little digestive system doesn't know what to do with it, and you're gonna get colicky. Mm-hmm. Just like you get farts when you eat beans. Certain things happen.
Each of these examples of the growth of social and emotional competence illustrates not only the interaction of social, biological, and representational influences, but also how their development unfolds over an extended period.
Early influences are important, but not determinative, because the capabilities required for mature moral conduct, gender identity, and other outcomes continue to develop throughout childhood, adolescent, and even adult years. That's important there.
Adult years.
Yes, it continues to develop. So when you say your 5-year-old says they're a girl, even though they're a boy, it's going to continue to develop. Okay, it's not going to be something that it's at that moment in time the child feels that way for whatever reason. He feels jealousy of his sister, so he wants to be like his sister. But it will eventually, you got to work through those areas.
So the conclusion, as the preceding sentence suggests, social and personality development continues through adolescence and the adult years, and it is influenced by the same constellation of social, biological, and representational influences discussed for childhood.
Changing social relationship and roles, biological maturation, and much later decline in how the individual represents, experience, and the self continue to form the basis for developmental throughout life.
In this respect, when an adult looks forward rather than retrospectively to ask, what kind of person am I becoming? A similar, fascinating, complex, multifaceted interaction of developmental processes lies ahead.
So, it's very, very important to know who you are. It's very, very important. Wow. Thank you, Sharon.
Please start to give these to these wonderful souls. I watch and don't comment often, but I feel we need to support each other.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you. Wow. Appreciate you.
From the UK, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
And Phil says, did you know you were transgender as a child? I feel like I have always been gay.
I don't think anybody knew in my age, Lena's age, that we were transgender, because that word didn't even exist back then. I think that we were made feel different. That's what I've always said in all my interviews. I didn't know. I just knew that I was different. I was being treated differently from the way that I wanted to be. I was always scorned for acting a certain way. Little girls don't walk like this, or little girls don't do that, and little girls, and I'm like, what do I, that kind of thing. So you say you knew you were gay when you were young. Well, I didn't think of sex till later in life. So my sexual preference wasn't something that, so maybe you knew that you were different, and then you had a demeanor different from the rest of the boys. But I don't know. Did you know that you were attracted to men at what age? I mean, a 5 or 6 year old doesn't know who they're attracted to. They're still playing. You would hope they're not feeling attracted to anybody at that age.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, personality is personality, and we all have different personalities, and these personalities should not be tagged with sex and say, well, because I like to play baseball and I like to rough and tough with boys and I like to this, then I should be a boy, or vice versa. You know, I think that society is really stretching it a little bit, and we're trying to put everybody in a box. And I say, when we die, we go in a box. Why should we live in a box when we're alive?
And Phil says, Mark, exactly, it wasn't sexual, but it was very much feeling like what you described.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And in my life, I always felt like, you know, just uncomfortable, being a stereotypical whatever they wanted me to be, you know, a stereotypical boy. But I wasn't like, you know, caught up in like hating my genitals and not liking myself.
That is all politics, you know, this day and age. Like, people use that as a line.
Yeah. And that is like kind of like a password for people to get in to get gender dysphoria, is that they have to dislike their genitals, and they have to say that they knew when they were 5 or whatever.
Scripted lines. And it's like, what, you know, 5-year-old going, I want to cut my wee off. 5-year-old is like, peas, you know? It's like he has no comparison unless you have a freaky parent that, you know, makes him feel that something's wrong with his genital. You know?
I mean, it works this way, though. It's like in a Christian household, you know, boys are going to be attracted to either their mother or their father, you know, and whoever pays more attention to them is the one that they're going to be attracted to mimicking, you know. So I saw my mom in her meekness and her tenderness or kindness. I saw myself in my mom, because I wasn't that type of boy that was like the gung-ho, you know, fighting, you know, wrestling and throwing people around in that kind of aggressive boy, right? So I was more like the soft, you know, kind, considerate, you know,
and you saw your father
emotional, you know, and I saw my dad as a brash, you know, over the top, loud. Because Puerto Rican men are loud.
And how he treated you, he probably treated you. And then you saw your sister was treated.
And he treated me in the way that he kind of like discarded me. Like, oh, well, you're not man enough. You know, you're not what I wanted. You know, I mean, it's like, and I love my dad. I mean, he's passed on, bless his soul, back in 2005 of cancer, but you know, he was a rough man, you know, and he lived a very macho life, right?
Like most,
you know,
Latin men do.
And so those stereotypes, they follow and they are ingrained in the pattern of your sons, of your daughters. So parents out there, make sure that you instill the right qualities. And I'm not saying that my dad was wrong, that was bad, but that was just what men of his generation, you know, it's like Archie Bunker, when guys were guys and gals were gals. You know,
and how did he treat your sister? Very differently.
Yeah. I mean, she was like the apple of his eye, and she constantly got his accolades. And even as I got older, he was like, if you could only be like your sister.
So know, right there, keywords.
She is a success. And
keywords. I wish I was more like my sister.
Yeah.
You know, I should be like my sister. And so and that's what happens. This, ladies and gentlemen, that's the gender confusion that parents and society instill on our young. And then we grow up to being gender confused adults.
I personally think that I would have, if I had been allowed to just be myself, I think I just would have developed into a gay person. Yeah. You know,
but because religion goes gay bad.
Oh yeah, no. That wasn't.
Yeah, that wasn't even a choice.
Because even sex for me, with the spouse that I had, was not something that I even cared about. You know, because I wasn't. You know, so it was a very difficult, you know, understanding and realization, and it was a prison growing up, just not being able to be myself. You know, so whether that would have been as a gay man or whatever, then that would have been what it was. But regardless, whatever happened after that point was because of all these years of suppression, all these years of like, no, I can't be this way. No, I can't do this. No, I can't do that.
And I think, you know, our development is really, it stems from what happens when we're younger. And then, you know, we have bad experiences. Like, you know, I hated men because of the way my father treated my mother. And, you know, my mother wasn't the most loving towards me either. So, but I felt, well, women are safer, you know, and I started going out with women. I used to like dread men's genitalia. It's like, no, that's going to get me pregnant. That's going to be painful. I don't want any part of that. And it took me to transition to then start going, huh, men are kind of attractive, aren't they? Wow, look at that cute guy. You know, and back then it was like, bleh, you know, that kind of thing. So you start becoming comfortable within yourself. And then
Shani T visited us.
Who's Shani T? It's timed out. So what was I saying? When I talked,
thank you. She said it.
Okay. I lost my train of thought because I was in the middle of saying something.
Sorry.
Then, yeah.
No, but you were talking about you're, you know, attracted to men.
Right. And once you transition and you start feeling comfortable in yourself, then you totally change your sexuality. I mean, never in a million years. You know, when I transitioned, I started then going out with trans women because it was still a little safer for me than going directly out with a guy, because the guy was still like, hey. But a trans woman, even though they had the genitalia that I feared all my life, but they were presenting as female. So it was safe, you know, and then I started like, okay, well, you know, that big bad wolf wasn't as big bad wolf as I thought after all. But there's a lot, you know, that really play out into our identity and our sexual preferences in life. You know, and sometimes people just are who they are, you know. Anyway, Trans Corner, did she say something bad that we?
No, we just blocked.
Oh, okay.
Because I told them that if they came over, they would be blocked. Because this is the same person that's bringing up all these lies about you being a bio male.
Oh, okay.
It's like, no, Maritza was a woman.
Crazy people. Trans Corner, on the science of changing sex, the elephant of the room. And this was written by, what's her name again? Kathy, the one that you friended, who has a blog.
I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
The elephant in the room.
Oh, a trans woman.
Yeah,
yes.
Wrote this.
Okay.
In the mid-90s, during a conversation in my kitchen where we often held our trans activism strategy sessions over coffee, Joanna McNamara remarked one day that I was the only transsexual she knew who wasn't mentally ill. Actually, she used the term crazy, quote unquote. I was taken aback by her declaration and asked for expansion and explanation. Maybe.
What? Okay. An explanation. She listed a number of people we both knew in common and told me of other numerous examples. Most of them were actually fairly reasonable examples of anxiety and depression associated with typical late transitioning woes like divorce, job loss, being regularly clocked in public, etc.
And notice how this is what happens, you know, with certain individual transition later on in life. You know, they're now not only going to deal with, you know, the gender dysphoria, but now they're going to deal with other issues. You know, things don't just go away, you know, because now their
life is literally going to fall apart.
Right? That's what we tell people. If you please really consider this, because things aren't going to get that great. You're going to be happy for a little bit, you know, but as reality really kicks in. But some of the stories about these same individuals involve episodes that would indeed indicate serious departures from rational behavior, most especially of delusions and even psychotic breaks that she had either witnessed firsthand or had credible accounts from others. And I've actually experienced this in many trans people. When I lived in Florida, Wilton Manors, there was a lot of trans women, and I had a lot of trans women as friends, and I could attest to that kind of behavior.
This fit with some stories that I've been told by a number of care providers who have confided in me and of my own personal experience. One of the most famous individuals I met was Angela Keys Douglas, aka Douglas Keys. When I first met Douglas in 1977, he was living in Berkeley as well. not really a woman so much as he didn't really pass or even really try, and seemed totally oblivious to how people reacted to him, her.
And you see that a lot, you know. It was obvious to me that he was off, and I mean off. We maintained a distant connection for decades. Douglas had sex reassignment surgery, or what the trans community calls it now, gender reaffirming surgery, sometimes in the 80s, and moved to Florida. Eventually, that's where all the transgender women go. Eventually, Douglas returned to living as a man full time. I would get mail from him that was off the chart, sometimes friendly, sometimes threatening. Yet it all depends where the bipolar nature steps in that day. He claimed that he was a CIA or an FBI agent and was turning me in for my crimes. He also wrote about the blue lizard alien running our government when he wasn't writing about the Illuminati. Clearly, Douglas was psychotic, probably schizophrenic.
Not that all trans women go to Florida, but when we lived in Fort Lauderdale, there was a big community.
There is, yeah. There's.
And
I was trying to be
there.
I was trying to be.
Well, Mike Smith asks, trans women go to Florida?
Well, there's a lot there, so I was trying to be funny.
And they actually have like
a big community,
a big convention thing.
They do, and now it used to be in Georgia, now it's in Florida.
Yeah.
So probably more will be moving to Florida, so they could have
what is it? The Southern Comfort. Conference.
Well, William Manors is very gay friendly. It's like San Francisco, but in Florida.
But Southern Comfort's more like a cross-dressers convention.
Yeah, well,
seems like.
Well, that's how it started originally. But a lot of cross-dressers are becoming bold now and transitioning.
They said, I remember, what's the difference between a cross-dresser and a transsexual?
A few years. That's it. And especially now that they're all like, I could do this full time? Oh my God. Okay.
So let me see. No place for cool taunts or of others on my watch. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sharon Grantham Hartley. In heaven, there is neither male or female. We are spirit with all gender. Welcome to the resurrection awakening.
Totally. And that's, we're humans right now. We're spirits having a human experience. And our creator, she's androgynous, so that's the name of the game, in my opinion. The two will become one. We will learn the yin and the yang. There's a dance that we have to learn how to do to balance ourselves and walk the middle way.
Another individual who was never famous was my roommate for a time in late 77, early 78. And this is a person that wrote this article that we're going to try to get on our show. I had initially contacted her, and she's an older trans woman, and basically has said a few things that the trans community doesn't want to hear, obviously. But they don't respect her.
They don't respect no one that doesn't sing the party line.
I think that people who've lived this for a long time need to be able to be heard, even if it's not the perspective and the views that the wider trans community and the trans agenda activists have, So I won't use her name. She was in her mid-20s, very pretty, had transitioned, had SRS paid for by her family while in college, and was then working as a computer programmer in Silicon Valley.
Really?
However, she was off, and I mean off. I didn't realize it when I first moved in. Given her age of transition, I initially thought she must be a trans kid. Wrong.
On the surface, she seemed sweet and put together until you noticed that she never left the apartment except to go to work. She had exactly one close friend, a lesbian, who I believe she had a serious crush on. She hated and was terrified of men, all men, but especially gay men.
Oh, where is that? She had this fixed delusion that all gay men were sexual predators out to seduce her, perhaps violently rape her. It would seem that part of her motivation for transition was to escape the notice of gay men. Oh, did I mention that she was heavily medicated on
thyroidazine? That's a
thyroidazine.
Schizophrenic medication.
Thyroidazine is a powerful antipsychotic prescribed as a treatment for schizophrenia. Well, things went downhill for us as roommates pretty fast when she discovered that I was actively dating, men.
You notice too that a lot of the autogynophiles, or a lot of trans women, they don't really want to date men. I mean,
they don't.
No man welcome when you see them on their Facebook, so they're it's like
I am a
Okay.
Lesbian, they
yeah.
say.
And it's like, no, you're just, you know, again, it shows you that these are men that were not comfortable being men. So they decided to become women because they think women are wusses and it's easier to be a woman. And so, but they're still attracted to women. So it's very confusing, folks. She went off on me one evening using homophobic slurs. And after that began having and sharing with others a delusional paranoia fixed on me. Obviously, I moved out after only a very short time, and thankfully you did. In the mid-'80s, I accidentally ran into her in the lobby of a hotel. I greeted her in a kindly and friendly manner, to which she responded like a startled rabbit and literally ran full tilt away from me.
So people are saying, are my welcome coming family? Shannon, you got to work on loving yourself. And William says, I have an issue with Mark's view on generosity of opposition, but you have balls doing this. And then Quintilia said, what are you saying about Mark? And, you know, Mark gets, pardon the French, shit all the time from people who mistake his passion and his desire to spread the truth as anger and hate. Yeah. And it's not. He's not hateful one bit.
Not at all. You don't know me.
He spends so much time like giving people chances and, you know, forgiving people, only to have people come back at him and attack him again after he welcomes them back. So he just says, F it. I mean, it's not worth my time or effort.
And, you know, people don't like to hear truth, and people don't like to, and I'm just, I'll flat out say it as it is, you know, and I mean, some of you are going to love me. Some of you are going to hate me. I'm always going to love you back. You know, that's pretty much it.
So I had another roommate again, who again, I'll not use her name, who was subject to severe bouts of debilitating depression. However, she also had times when she was filled with energy, able to achieve amazing things. But there was a dark side to that energy. During those times, she would hold very odd ideas, conspiracy theories, etc. Sometimes these ideas involved those close to her. She also took dangerous, reckless risks that would frighten me in the extreme when I was to witness them. Perhaps you recognize the symptoms. I believe that she suffered from bipolar disorder with paranoid delusions.
And that is a very common disorder in the trans community. And the whole concept of taking risks, dangerous risks, you know, very common, you know, in the trans community. And again, not putting anyone down, it's like it's important to recognize these symptoms. It's important to get real help. Changing your gender is not going to make your mental disorders go away. It's not. Adding hormones to an already, to an already compromised neurological system is very dangerous. And you're going to find that people that were once bipolar are going to become hyper bipolar, and they're going to have more swings, and they're going to have more schizophrenic thoughts and more psychotic thinking. They're going to become violent, delusional, and suicidal.
So William says, I'm William who emailed you a few days ago. You remember? With an opportunity for you to explain your view, but you declined and hated on myself. Respect is all I ask for. Mark does not get hate, I know. He doesn't. I know Mark as a personality. I am a part-time character artist.
I don't know who this person, William. What name did you use? Because I mean, I get a lot of really strange emails that I try not to put any focus on because I try not to surround myself with negativity. We had this one individual, we thought it was a bot for a while there. Then we had this other person by the name of Chris.
Bounds?
Something or another, because I share all the emails with you. So
William Percival.
That doesn't ring a bell at all.
I don't. Why do we not know who you are then if you're not a fake?
I mean.
Do you remember that name?
No, not at all.
Huh.
Not at all.
We can go through our emails, but we're doing a show right now.
Yeah. These examples are the only ones that I have witnessed personally.
Not the only ones.
Not the only ones that I've witnessed personally. This issue has not gone unnoted in the literature on transsexuality, transgenderism. Norman Fisk, in his seminal paper introducing the concept of gender dysphoria syndrome, also wrote about the third type that they saw applying for sex reassignment at the Stanford Clinic.
Finally, many psychotic patients have a severe type of gender confusion. 20% of all of our patients contacting our program are overtly psychotic and, of course, are referred for or given appropriate psychiatric treatment.
I'm trying to think. Was that the one that said, but they didn't use that name, that they lived with 4 guys and that...
I don't know.
Yeah.
Are they the young trans person
who said that they live with 4 guys
and having sex
with
with
everybody, and like something that's like, please, I'm not going to waste my time with emails that are
just a bit over the top.
Yeah. Could this explain the third type? Oh, your turn.
Could this explain the third type that consistently disavows ever having experienced either exclusive androphilia, which is a love of men, or autogynephilia, love of a woman as themselves, as a woman, insisting that they represent a third type? Well, no, not completely anyway. We know that many who deny autogynephilia are in fact falsely making such a claim.
Exactly. However, these psychotic individuals could represent a portion of them and thus serve as true third type. On the other hand, they could simply be a subset of one or the other, or even both, of the already well-established 2 types, simply evincing a comorbid condition.
That at 20 to 46%, this could alternatively mean that those who suffer from gender dysphoria are especially likely to have such comorbid conditions as Lawrence describes.
Some cases of MTF transsexualisms are associated with and possibly attributed to other comorbid psychiatric disorders, especially psychotic conditions such as schizophrenia, bipolar, reported on a, was it Nijman Berkhem, reported on a large survey of Dutch psychiatrists who had evaluated 584 patients with cross-gender identification and possible GID. In 46% of these patients, the psychiatrists interpreted cross-gender identification as an epiphenomenon of other psychiatric problems, including psychotic mood, dissociative, and personality disorders.
Brown and Jones, 2016, observed that among 5,135 persons, 69% male, diagnosed with gender identity disorder, transsexualism or transvestism, who had received care from the U.S. Veterans Administration, 32% had also received a diagnosis of quote-unquote serious mental illness, meaning, quote, diagnosis associated with psychotic symptoms, unquote, including schizophrenia and bipolar spectrum disorders. Thus, comorbid psychotic disorders and other severe mental illnesses may account for some cases of MTF transsexualism in non-androphilic persons who deny autogynephilia, and for some cases of MTF transsexualism in androphilic persons as well.
Mental illness within the trans community has been the elephant in the room. It's time we talked about it openly and compassionately. Yes.
Oh, I have not time for people like you, so you will be blocked. Ask for help from my trans daughter, now son.
No.
Trans daughter, now son? I mean, was it the person that was taking their kid to Great Britain to have their gender? I don't know,
because we get so many, so many like,
just distractions.
Rude comments, and that's all they try to do.
I know.
Anyway, let's see, what else do we have? Any other comments?
No, not really.
Okay, so
those who attack, I've learned from a lovely scripture, those who are pure only see pure things. We need to get rid of the accuser, i.e. us. It's a process, guys.
I know.
It is. And that's the conversation I was having with Mark. I was so frustrated because we have so much negativity coming against us in that way that I want to focus on not having that manifest itself.
And sometimes you can't, it's like people when they don't hear what they want to hear, it's still connected. Is it still on? No? You're going to get that. That's
actually Mark can dance.
Oh yeah.
I've learned from Mark some, but Mark tears up the floor.
Yeah.
So
you're doing.
I'm doing better.
We haven't danced in a while.
I'm doing better.
We should get back at it, but
we're feeling really good because I mean, we changed gyms and stuff, and somehow, some way, that gym is just a lot more.
Yeah.
And you know.
And I'm looking forward to clean myself out
conducive.
from, the chemicals, and I always feel a lot better natural, so that's exciting for me. And April says, good news flash, 5G is probably going to be snuffed out, and those involved with Paradise Fire are now being prosecuted for murder. Yes.
Wow.
Awesome. Truth will prevail. Yeah. I love to dance salsa. I
love to learn because, I mean,
you do it.
I was always held back,
but that's, again,
but
now
you were raised, I'm like able to.
The reason you were held back is you were raised to believe that dancing was evil.
I was.
And then when you're raised in like everything is evil, there's a devil under every rock, you become very defensive when something, is like, and it's like, it's about freedom of self, loving self, enjoying, moving and dancing and just, and there are going to be people that try to distract, and there are going to be people that, and like, what's his name? John said, yes, there's sometimes, he's in the mood to like lash back, and sometimes he ignores people, it all depends. If I feel that somebody needs to be taught a lesson, I'll engage, and if I'm like, this person's not worth my time, I'm not gonna bring my high vibration into a low vibration and meet them at where they're at, not interested. Not interested. Anyway, guys, the moment for manifestation and meditation moment is now here. You guys sit in a comfortable position. This one today is about knowing self. I sit. I ponder. I think. Who am I? Lost in a world of images, brands, programming, I fall from the self and enter another realm. The realm of lies, of deceit, told how to be and how to think. How do I break free? I search and I search. Yet I seem to be stuck in a world in my head, an illusion at best. It's time to take control. I will no longer be told what to wear, what to say, when I need to share. I am me, no one else. I don't want to find myself in this hell. I can be free to be me. I encourage all of you to be free to be you. But who am I? Where did I come from? Wait, hold on. I will tap inside my heart and be brought to my highest thoughts. Told too many times to shut up. Told too many times to learn to get along in a world that is fake and does not have my best interest, but hurts me instead. No more lies. No more. No less. I am that I am today and for the rest of my days. I am free from these chains, from the hurt of society's chain. I will tell you who I am. I am love. I am hate. I am hot and I am cold. I am free and I'm in chains. But I will learn to balance all these ways to create the perfect soul, a soul that will serve the world. Today is the day that I will learn myself, who I am and where I go. I will learn to discover my world. I, state your name, I, Mark Angelo Cummings, promise to make time every day to learn my heart and soul, to find my way to the best place I can go. And I will finally go home. Namaste. Yep. So many of us really don't know who we are. As we stated earlier, as we were raised, we're babies. We're surrounded by a world that becomes cruel, A world that tells us how to think, how to be, how to feel, how to walk, how to talk. Girls don't walk that way. Boys need to toughen up. We get lost. We hurt. We become frustrated. We get angry at ourselves and at the world. We have religion telling us what to do, how to think, how to feel,
how to be, what to wear, where to go, what to eat, what to drink.
It's time to free yourself, family. It's time to get to know you, the real you, the little innocent child that still lingers inside of you. You're all love. You are all light. And you do have a dark side, and that's okay. Dark, light, integrates, learns to dance to make you the best you that you can be.
Quintilia writes, when Mark talks, I drift away into a cloudy forest, surrounded by playing animals, whilst holding my husband's hand. Is that our afterlife? He told me he would come for me when I leave Earth.
Yes.
I hope he's watching us talk now.
Yes. So it is.
Sharon says, we are stars wrapped in skin. Yeah. I am all, in all, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this is, I watched an episode of the Orville's yesterday where the debate transgender surgery for a newborn, an alien species, an alien.
Yeah.
God,
where they debate transgender surgery for a newborn. An alien species that is all male had a female offspring. So cute. Episode 3, series 1. I don't know what's. Yes.
Love you too, Damien.
Yeah. Free yourself from illusion.
Totally, totally, family, totally.
It is important to love yourself, but not loving yourself in a prideful way.
Right.
Loving yourself. Can you explain what you mean by that when you say, we love you, but remember to always love yourselves too?
It's important to understand what love is. Love is accepting yourself. You're good, you're bad, you're ugly. Love is realizing that you are not an island, but that you're a part of something greater. Love is learning how to do that dance with everything that's surrounding you, and that includes yourself. So love is not just a feely, or some lust or some little emotion, little butterflies that you get the first time you saw that girl in school and you got the butterfly. That's not love. Love is being able to navigate in a world that's bombarding you constantly, but realizing that bombardment is actually refining you and helping you grow. So when you are grateful and understanding of everything that's surrounding you, and you start to realize who you are, then you are in love. Then you are in the presence of that Almighty, the Absolute, the one that gives us that spark of divinity, the one that we are part of. So learn to love yourself too. Learn to realize that you are part of all that is. That your life here is no coincidence. You are here for a reason, and you're beautiful in every way.
That's beautiful. You have a way with words. When did you come up with that last manifestation?
That was,
This
I made
morning?
the show last night.
Last night.
Yep.
It's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
So deep breath.
Yeah. It's a lot, it's like I'm a feeler. I feel everything. And even though I tried all my life to numb myself, but, I take in, I take it all, and although I don't let the negative consume me, and I've learned to kind of put the negative on the shelf and not let it penetrate the armor that I've learned how to build. But, it does get exhausting sometimes. And I hear people like, oh, I send you an email. It's like, do you know how many emails we get, Do you think I can sit there and decipher? And when I start reading something, I right away know negative. Yeah, I'm like, this is negative. I'm not going to let it in my space right now, especially if I have other things, you know, that I'm dealing with. So, and my latest is, you know, you're going to come and you're going to, you know, accuse, you're going to call names, you're going to whatever. I'm just going to block you because I don't want to engage with that. I really shouldn't have to engage with that. You come to me with a good heart, an open heart, and you really want to have a sincere conversation, I will give you the shirt off my back. But don't come with sarcasm. Don't come with negative energy. Don't come at war with me. I never draw first blood. I will never draw first blood. But don't push my buttons because I will block you. You're better off me blocking you than for me telling you off. Because I've learned this character right here that I created, Mark Angelo Cummings, was created to protect a little girl that had no protection, whose father, you know, would beat up on the mother, whose father didn't care about my feelings. My mother didn't care about my feelings. So I had to learn to develop this right here. But you know what? I'm thankful because it allowed me to develop a big heart. A heart that's capable of loving the unlovable.
Quintilia says, the playing animals all got in. No predator or prey. Just smiling animals and my husband.
Beautiful.
Just gave me chills. Love is giving your everything. And you have to work hard at a relationship even when you are in love.
Yes, totally.
Nundoing said, Quintilia, hugs from across the pond. Sleep in peace, dream in color, accept in love, peace and blessings to all.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Phil says, Mark, that was extremely powerful. You are very much appreciated.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you so much.
Gail Single writes, had a doctor's appointment today. High blood pressure. Taking medication was really depressing. Can't even imagine what you guys have to go through with all this stuff. Respect.
Gail, when I started testosterone, it increased my blood pressure. My ears would get so red, but I didn't want to get on any BP medication because it's very harmful. I took hawthorn berry, and within a few weeks, I started noticing go down. And, you know, my blood pressure now is like 106 over 60 something. And I used to get as high as 160 over 100. And I swear by it. Hawthorn berry, it's a natural herb. And, you know, I swear by it.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And right now I just take it every other day. And now that I'm quitting testosterone altogether, my blood pressure, when I'm not taking tea, goes down, you know, very low. So
she said at home says, same Mark, I don't respond well to bullying.
I hear you. I hear you. You get to the point where you just get tired of it, you know, and I don't like to go into my dark space. But when I feel that someone's like harassing me or Lena or being rude or evil or whatever, then it's like, you know, you're gonna meet up with confrontation, because as loving as I am, you know, I've learned to defend myself. I mean,
Quintilia, I hope you both snuggle up and appreciate the contact. Life is short. Afterlife is eternity.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you so much, Queen.
Gail said, Hawthorn berry, great, thank you.
It's very good.
She said it. I am on the strongest pressure blood meds you can get, 178 over 119.
Yeah, mine was getting pretty bad there because I had stopped tea, and I started back when you and I had the little split for a while, and then my blood pressure just started and so I started buying the Hawthorn berry, and right away it just goes down. I mean, I swear by it. It's so good. It's really, really good. And I did a lot of research because I didn't want to go on any BP meds. But all right, so I think
that's it.
That's it.
So we got for
today. Yeah, got to put tomorrow's show together.
What does blood pressure do? Cause facial redness and red ears?
Yes, mine got so bad where I used to hear the sound, and then my ears would get very, very red, and then I used to get sweaty, you know, and then my heart would start palpitating a lot of times, and then I would feel really sick. You know, when it first started going up, like nauseous, but it's no fun. It's all trans guys that are on testosterone usually have high blood pressure, and they're usually put on blood pressure medication. I had a friend of mine who died.
Yeah, last year,
you know, because between the blood pressure medication and testosterone, they just felt boop on stage. They were doing some sort of event and fell into a coma and never got out of the coma and died.
Yeah. Mark, the man with the child in his eyes. None doing. And Quintilia says, you look good, Mark. Hey now. He does, and he's all mine. All mine.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Great streaming, guys. Thank you so much for all you do. Nice being here with all you, wishing you and loved ones well. All my relations. Swoosh sound.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Phil, for joining us. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Quintilia. Bless you. And thank you so very much for joining us and your beautiful words. We appreciate all of you, every single one of you.
And welcome to the family,
yes,
Quintilia.
Definitely.
We didn't get to say hi to you yesterday, but
you've
been a real blessing today. Thank you.
So it's hard when we have a guest to really interact with the chat. So we look forward to just, when we don't have a guest, at least we're able to interact with you guys more. And talk about, I usually try to find really interesting topics. If you guys have anything that you want us to talk about, please email us at transitionradioshow@gmail.com. Jay, what was his name, and his wife? They want us to make a show on the awakening, what got people
Jim and KJ.
What got people to awaken. He says that he awakened when he was 16 years old.
Wow.
And, how their lives have changed. So we might have a show, if we get 2 or 3 people that want to do that, and have you guys call in and maybe allocate 15 minutes or so per caller so they could talk about their awakening and how it happened and, things of that nature.
Phil says, I love you too.
We love you,
Thanks,
Phil.
We love you too. And Quintilia says, my ice cream man loves you, I'm sure.
Oh.
That's beautiful. Wow, if I could call into your show, it would blow my mind.
Definitely. You
can.
You want to call in now, or what is it?
You wanted to. Let's
see.
Yeah. We have the technology.
Yeah, we do.
Love you, Mark and Lena. Good night. Oh,
okay. So for another time.
Whatever.
Yeah. No, maybe another. Okay. So, we usually put the number up, and we didn't today, but we take in calls, questions, comments, anything you guys wanted to share. This is your show. All right, guys. So we're going to end with one of my originals, and this one is called It Works Like That. Actually, this song I wrote back in 2010. That's when I wrote this song. So, guys, we love you, but remember to always love yourselves too. Good night. Be well and see you tomorrow. Let's see here. You got to get love to find love. It works like that. Got to want love to give love. It works like that. After one peace, at peace. It was like that. Open up a little heart and let it go in. Don't get up from the start and let it go in. Open up a little heart and let it go in. Don't get up from the start. You got to see way. It was like that. Looks like that. Got to unite to be united. It was like that. We had to end war to not have war. It was like that. Open up the little heart, let it in. Don't get up from the start, we can win it. Open up your little heart, let it in. Don't get up from the start, we can win it. Da, 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 da. You have to be more to help the poor. It was like that. You have to want to live, to live. It was like that. Your eyes must be open to see. It was like that. Looks like that. Open up the little heart, you never did. Don't get up from the start, you will begin. Open up your little heart, you never did. Don't get up from the start, you will begin. Da, 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 da. That's how it works.